Why is it so important to remember the Holocaust?
You are entrusted by society as good citizens to guard your precious minds against accepting ideas of hatred, discrimination, and intolerance. You are the future leaders, and many of you will become influential people. And those are the ideas that you should be spreading in an attempt to prevent another Holocaust from happening. I think it is very important that we never forget what happened, and that the young people have to be indoctrinated with the ideas of not accepting these negative ideas. Just like the Jewish people have never forgotten our escape from slavery in Egypt 3,500 years ago. And every year we keep repeating that story during our Seders. We have never forgotten it. And I think the Holocaust will never be forgotten.
Did you lose hope during the Holocaust or your faith in humanity?
You know, we have 8 billion people on this planet. And I said to these students that we have every reason in the world to be angry, but we will not submit to anger. We have every reason in the world to give up on humanity, but we will not give up on humanity. How can we? When we have people like the King of Denmark. You heard the story of the King of Denmark?
No. Say it again, Doctor.
Hitler occupied Denmark, and he ordered the Jewish people to put yellow stars on the outer clothing so he could round them up in the streets and ship them to gas chambers. And the King of Denmark said to Hitler, if you are going to order our Jewish citizens to wear yellow stars, I'm going to put on a yellow star, every member of my family would put on a yellow star, and every Dane in the country would put on a yellow star. And you will not be able to tell who's Jewish and who's not. And guess what? He saved all the Danish Jews. Did you hear the name Raoul Wallenberg?
No.
Well, let me tell you about Raoul Wallenberg. He came from an aristocratic Swedish family and he was appointed to be ambassador to Hungary. And the Nazis occupied Hungary and they were just about to ship 100,000 Hungarian Jews to the gas chambers. And Mr. Wallenberg issued them 100,000 Swedish visas, and they became instantly Swedish citizens, and Hitler could not touch them. Did you hear the name of Mr. Sugihara?
Oh, Japanese, right?
Chiyuni Sugihara, a Japanese diplomat, was appointed ambassador to Lithuania. And he was the ambassador when the Nazis occupied Lithuania. And all of these people just couldn't stand watching what Hitler was doing to the Jewish people. So he asked his government for permission to issue 10,000 visas to the Jews so they could come to Japan and some far eastern countries where Hitler couldn't reach them. The Japanese were allied with Hitler at that time, and they denied his request. They told him, don't you dare issue those 10,000 visas. What did Mr. Sugihara do? He issued those visas anyway, knowing full well what the consequences would be to him and to his family, because the Japanese government fired him from his position, took him back to Japan, and he and his family lived in poverty and obscurity. Now Mr. Sugihara is a great national hero. He was a great humanitarian. Look what he did. He saved 10,000 souls. So there are many occasions like that when non-Jewish people were saving Jews. What does he call them? The righteous Gentiles. How can you give up on humanity when you have people like this walking the surface of this planet? Mahatma Gandhi, look what he did in peace, peacefully, without firing a single shot. Look what he accomplished. Dr. Martin Luther King, what he accomplished in a non-violent way. Great things can be accomplished without violence.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about the Holocaust?
I had 2 or 3 people asking me in the past, how come everybody was hating the Jews so much? And I said, now wait a minute. That is absolutely not true. And I tell them these stories about the King of Denmark and Raoul Wallenberg, Mr. Sugihara. Hitler was allied with Mussolini in Italy, but that didn't stop him from occupying Italy, and he demanded from Mussolini to turn over the Jews. And Mussolini said to him, we don't have any Jews here, we only have Italians. Now, does that mean that everybody was hating the Jews? No. I think people have to know these things.
Mm-hmm. What would you advise someone to do if they would like to study the Holocaust more?
Museum of Tolerance is one thing. The National Museum of the Holocaust is promoting education in schools, promoting education about the Holocaust in high schools, junior highs, and at universities. And we have people who are trying to spread the idea that the Holocaust never happened. You heard about that too, didn't you?
They're called Holocaust deniers.
Yeah, Holocaust denials, yeah. And we have to counteract this.
Did the Holocaust affect your faith in God? If so, in what ways?
Well, I tell you, there are many people, Jews, who survived the Holocaust, and they completely lost faith in God. How could God let that happen? Well, nobody has an answer to that question. However, to me it is very understandable that there is a God, a creator of all life. Sometimes I look at an X-ray of a child, dental X-ray. I see 3 rows of teeth on top of each other. How does every one of these teeth find its proper place in the jaw? Now you show me a human being who could design a plan like this. How both parents develop such tremendous life, such tremendous love to a newborn baby. Those people who don't believe in God say they don't even know where it comes from. But that's where it comes from. How do our bodies function without us making it function? How does our heart keep beating for 70, 80 or 100 years, non-stop? And we have nothing to do with it. It just keeps beating. How does our body derive the energy from food and water? It just does it. And we have nothing to do with it. That's the way our bodies are built. The body breaks down the food that creates the energy, and that's what allows us to continue living. Our ability to heal is unbelievable. You know, if our cells didn't heal, people wouldn't live the way they do, or as long as they do. So, you know, there are so many ways that contribute to the belief in a creator. And my belief became, I don't come from an Orthodox home, I come from a Reform home in Poland. Now we always had our Shabbat dinner with candles and gefilte fish, you know. And we went to the temple on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and but we were not Orthodox. So I really didn't have much of an opportunity to learn much about Judaism. You know, what I did learn over the years, you know, is from attending the temple with my kids every Friday. And I was so busy involved in my profession that I really didn't have much time to study Judaism. But I think it's a great philosophy of life. And Moses went to Mount Sinai, and he was given so much wisdom. He couldn't possibly have written everything down in 1 month. So they developed the oral interpretation of the basic instructions that Moses received, you know. But I strongly believe that there is a God who directs our destiny. And why did he allow 6 million Jews to die? Nobody has an answer to that question. However, I heard once an interpretation of why were the Jews dispersed all over the world by the Romans 2,000 years ago. Well, they were dispersed all over the world so they could teach the knowledge about God to other people who had no beliefs. I know in Japan, there are very few people who have any religion whatsoever. They know nothing about God. And now this is a belief shared by many people that as a direct consequence of that Holocaust, Israel was created. Eventually Israel would have been created anyway. However, this was a catalyst. The people who survived were just determined to get their own country because of all this anti-Semitism that they experienced. And maybe God had something to do with it. We don't know. The prophets were predicting that there will be an ingathering of exiles, right? And that's exactly what is happening.
Can you summarize the message you want to give young people today in one sentence?
Assume an attitude of understanding and tolerance and never do to anybody what you wouldn't want done to yourself.